Welcome everybody, my name is Sarah. Thank you for practicing with me today. We have a 30-minute practice which is called slow but moving. So it's one of my favourite ways to practice and one of our most popular ones in classes, and that's where we keep a sense of movement, breath to movement, continuously flowing through our practice. So although it may be slow and steady in terms of how we're moving, we don't settle into absolute stillness in any of our poses. So you don't need any particular props today, but if you happen to hand, a blanket might be useful, particularly if you're practicing on a hard floor like I am. So just to cushion the knees, and possibly a couple of blocks. Not essential for this one, but if you'd like to lift fingertips a little bit when you're lunging, then you might find your blocks useful. But other than that, no props needed. So unroll your mat and I will join you there. Okay, so we're going to start in child's pose. I'll guide you into this one and then I'll actually sit up just so that I can speak more clearly to you as we start our practice. So take the knees nice and wide for child's pose, bring the big toes together. Walk the hands forward along your mat. Bring the forehead, if you can, to rest down on the mat. Give yourself a few breaths just to settle here. If the forehead doesn't rest naturally on the mat, you can bend the hands in to form a little pillow for the forehead. Just make sure it feels a comfortable and supported shape. If the arms are extended in front, spread the fingers nice and wide, connect through the palms of the hands. And bring a sense of weight and heaviness into the body here so that you feel that you're really connecting with your mat, allowing the full weight of the body to sink. And we just start to find our breath here. So initially being aware of the breath passing in and out of the body, in and out through the nose. Feeling the torso expand in all four directions as you breathe in. So rib cage expanding out to the sides, back body, belly all expanding. And then softening as you breathe out. As you start to tune into that sense of expanding and contracting, you can take the breath a little deeper, a little wider through the body. And our practice here today is all about keeping moving ever so slightly through our practice, or awareness on those small movements, even when we seem to be pausing. So as you stay here in your child's pose, just begin to find very small movements. It might be a slight wiggle of the hips, it might be a rock of the head. Just ease into your body a little bit with small movements. If the hands were underneath your forehead, just extend them out in front now. Lift to the fingertips so we have a little bit of energy through our arms, and walk the hands over to the right hand side off your mat. And as you place the palms down flat on the floor, feel the hips drawing back towards the left heel. And just take a couple of big expansive breaths that move that left-hand side of the body as you breathe. And then come back to the fingertips, walk slowly back through centre, over to the left. And again, sink down, draw the hips towards the right heel, and breathe deeply with that movement into the right-hand side of the body, right ribs. And then come back to centre. From there, you're just going to walk the hands in towards the knees. If you're okay here in a kneeling position, just for a little bit longer, stay resting the hands down, otherwise spin to a more comfortable seat. Drop the chin down to the chest. Feel the weight in the head, and then find gentle movements rocking the head side to side. So like we're taking half circles, ear towards shoulder, ear towards shoulder. It can be nice and slow, just easing out the back of the neck. And when the chin next comes down to center, pause, and then bring the head up, stack on top of the spine. And from there we will find our tabletop positions. So bring the hands to the mat, spread those fingers wide, keep the hips over the knees. Now start small with these cat and cows. As you take your first breath in, just soften the belly a little towards the floor, lift the gaze slightly. And as you exhale, press into the palms and into the knees, tops of the feet, and just arch through the spine. Let the head drop. And we keep that moving with our breath, breathing into our cow pose. Breathing out into cat. And breath by breath, find a little bit more movement, a little bit of a deeper bend or arch through the spine. Stay with your breath. Making the movement match the breath so that there is just a slight pause before you move the other way and ripple through the spine. Take it one more each way. And then bring yourself back to all fours. Maybe just bring the knees slightly more in underneath the body. Take your right leg out behind you and start to lift the leg a little bit higher and lift the gaze. We're finding that cow position through the spine. Take a breath in here. And then knee to nose as you exhale. So drop the head and try and squeeze knee towards the nose as much as you can. And then flow that with your breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, squeeze. A few more. And then next time you send the leg back, drop the toes down to your mat, press into those right toes, press into the palms, lift your hips into a downward dog. But again, find little bits of movement here, so pedal the heels. Straighten one leg, then the other. Good, and then bring these back down to your mat. Reset that tabletop position. Working with the left leg now, so take that left leg back behind you, lift it a little bit higher, lift the gaze, take a breath in. And then knee underneath the body, knee to nose as you exhale. That's it. So flow it with your breath. Taking one more. And then extending left leg back, dropping toes down to the mat. Press yourself back, downward dog. Really press and connect through the palms, through the fingers. Find a nice long spine. Keep the head, the ears in between the arms. But pedal the feet out. Keep that movement going. And then again, drop the knees down to the mat and reset. Now, option here is to use the blanket underneath the knees. It's not essential, but if you find that you struggle with pressure on the knees, we've got a few poses where we will be kneeling, so just bring the blanket underneath. Then set up your tabletop position. Move your left hand ever so slightly in towards centre. Now, working with the right arm here, doesn't have to be a big movement to begin with. Sweep the arm open, take an inhale. And then thread the arm through and underneath as far as you can reach, but don't drop onto the shoulder or the ear. It's a little hover as you reach through. Keeping it with the breath. Inhale to open. Exhale to thread. Couple more. So like our cat and cows, always moving, using all of the breath. And then next time that you're opening the arm up to the sky, just pause there. Once you have arrived, start to find big circles with the arm. Take it back the way first, so back towards your hips and then reach it forward and up. 2 or 3 nice big circles. And then next time that you're circling the arm round, press off the left hand and lift both arms up to the sky. So we're in a high kneeling position. If you need to adjust the knees under the body, feel free. Now take an inhale here. And as you exhale, wing those arms back behind you and start to bow the head towards the floor. We're not taking it all the way down. So be careful with balance here. You don't want to crash onto the forehead. Just lean forward as far as you feel comfortable. Move it with the breath. So lift back up as you inhale. Squeeze the glutes, rise up. Exhale, carefully bow forward. Slow and steady with the breath. Couple more times. And then from here, bring the hands back to the floor. Tuck the toes, downward dog. Just to ease off the knees, pedal through the legs. And then drop them back to take the second side. So this time our right hand is our support. Our left arm is working with our breath. Inhale to open. Exhale, thread through, just to a hover, reach as far as you can. Inhale to open. Exhale, thread through. Couple more. When you next lift that left arm to the sky, or as high as you can towards the sky, just stay there. And then work into the shoulder by taking some nice big circles round, working that arm back the way first. And after those few circles, use the arm next time to lift both arms to the sky, arriving into that high kneeling lunge. Take an inhale. Bow forward carefully as you exhale. Keep it moving with your breath. And then bring the hands back to the mat. If you have a prop under your knees here, just move it out of the way before returning to your downward dog. Because this time we're going to walk ourselves forward into a fold. So take a few breaths in your down dog. always with a little bit of movement. And then gaze towards your hands and just tiptoe the feet in nice and slowly, keeping the knees as bent as you need, arriving at the top of your mat in a forward fold. And as you arrive here, you can either just hang the body forward. If you have space to do so, you can take hands to opposite elbows and hang in your ragdoll fold. Wherever you're hanging in your forward fold, find a tiny bit of movement. It might be the smallest sway of the body, even just a sway out of the head. It might be a very slight tipping of weight forward and back, more into the front of the feet. Just feel that there's an element of movement staying in your practice. Okay, bring the hands down to your mat. Walk your feet a little bit wider, so toes point out. Now, this squat is very much how you want to make it. If you sit down and the heels lift, that's okay. We're going to keep it moving here. So if your heels naturally lift, you've got tightness through the calves and through the Achilles, just use this movement here to, a bit like our downward dog, just to press one heel at a time down. You can keep hands on the floor. If a very tight squat is not for you, you're welcome to stay in a forward fold or just to take it a little bit higher. Just sort of rest the arms on the thighs. Wherever you are, use movement to ease a little bit into the hips. If you're sat right down in your malasana, in your Hindi squat, keep the chest lifted, tailbone working down towards the earth. A few more breaths. Bring hands to the floor if they're not there already. Lift your sit bones up so that we come back into a forward fold. Just heel toe those feet back underneath the body. With the breath here, halfway lift, find space underneath the body as you lift halfway. Draw energy out through the crown of the head, fingertips up the shins. Fold it back down, body over the legs. With the breath, halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. One more time. And then from here, we're going to step our left foot right back on the mat. Big stride back. Drop that knee down and heel toe your right foot a little bit wider on your mat. So lizard lunge here. Again, if this is going to be uncomfortable on your knee, feel free to bring your prop, your blanket underneath. And this is where you might want to make use of blocks. So either to lift you a little bit higher in this lizard lunge, or to drop down onto forearms. If you're not quite there, use your blocks here. Or you're welcome, as I do, just to stay up on the hands or tented fingertips. Almost lift the chest a little bit. So working into the hips here, little sway, little bit of movement, just to explore where you feel it most. We've obviously got compression going on in the front, the right hip. We've got a stretch going on for the left hip flexor, the front of the thigh. If you're tensing up into the shoulders and the neck, use that movement to almost release any tightness, any clenching, any gripping to the pose. If you're low down or on your forearms, come back up onto the hands. Heel toe your right foot in towards center. Now again, this is where you might want to have your blocks. You don't have to use them, you can stay on tented fingertips, but if you want to have your blocks here, you can. We're just going to lift the chest a little. So come to fingertips if you are on hands, take a breath in, and then walk yourself back, straightening out the right leg. You can walk blocks with you if you're using them. Keep lifting the chest, flex the right foot, stretch out through the back of the right leg. But keep it moving. So little walk forward, sink into the hips as you breathe in. Take it back as you breathe out. A few times at your own speed. That's it. Next time you come forward, stay forward in your lunge, pick up the back knee, and just step forward or take a few little hops forward to come back to your forward fold at the top of the mat. A few easy breaths here, very gentle sway. And we'll take the same on the other side, so big step back with our right foot. Drop the knee down to the mat. Once you're there, heel toe your left foot a little bit wider. Start to feel the hips opening into that lizard lunge. Your choice of where you take the hands, so you can stay up high. You can use your blocks. But explore the pose with that little bit of movement, little bit of sway. Nothing is staying too static in our practice today. You can always close the eyes as you rock your way into the pose. Noticing where you feel it most, noticing where you maybe tense into any discomfort. Try and move your way through it. Now if you're low down on your forearms or on your blocks, you can come high up onto the hands, then heel toe your left foot in, back towards center, blocks or tented fingertips here. We lift the chest, take a breath in, and then walk our hips back, flex the left foot, straighten the left leg as we breathe out. And then move it a few times with the breath. So forward with your inhale, back with your exhale. Movement to get nice and warm through the hips. Final time forward and back. Next time you come back forward into your lunge, tuck the back toes to lift the knee, but this time we're stepping back to a downward dog. So reposition the feet as you step back, pedal the legs. Almost working towards a slightly more stillness in our downward dog just to finish here, but still just a small movements. Looks like we're just bouncing, hovering our way lightly into our downward dog. Okay, and then drop the knees down to the mat, reset your tabletop. Let's finish our movement practice here back with some cat and cows. So inhaling as you drop the belly, draw the heart through, lift the gaze and the tailbone. As you exhale, ripple that movement from tailbone all the way up through the spine, dropping head, opening back body. Inhale back to cow. exhale to cat. A few more times with your breath. And then from here, we're going to finish in a seated position. So if you are comfortable just sitting on the floor cross-legged, you can. If you want to bring any props, use your blanket, use your blocks, just to elevate the hips, you can take that option. Find an easy seat. And as you settle there, just rest the hands down on the knees. Find a nice tall spine. Connect down through the sit bones as you ease in, close the eyes, soften the jaw, let the shoulders slide down the back of the body. And come back to awareness on the breath. And start to feel the small movements in an otherwise still body that the breath gives us. So feel the body expanding sideways into the ribs. Feel the body expand forwards into the chest and the belly each time you breathe in. And also feel that breath filling and opening the back body. So we expand outwards in all directions as we breathe in. We soften back to center as we breathe out. When we focus on our breath, it brings us into the present moment of our practice. We find a sense of stillness in the mind, whilst the rest of the world continues to move around us. So bring hands to heart center in front of the body. Take a little smile and feel a sense of gratitude for our practice today. And carry that sense of stillness off into our day or evening ahead. Always keeping kindness in our thoughts, kindness in our words, and kindness in our hearts. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste.